What's up, true believers? This is Comic Book Corner, and I am your host, OMD 300, aka Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze, and welcome to Comic Book Corner, where you can hear some of the latest news about comic book films, comic book series themselves, and everything fantasy, superhero, and sci-fi. What's up, you guys? What's happening? It's your boy OMD 300. Welcome to Comic Book Corner. How are you doing? It is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Thank you again for being here. I am your host, OMD Dex 300, aka Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. Welcome to Comic Book Corner. Thank you for being here. Incredible show we have for you today. We got some cool news. We have a review of a film that I just seen. Oh, I just saw. I shouldn't say seen. That's terrible grammar. Terrible grammar. Of a comic book film I just saw, which was the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts was an amazing film, but it wasn't as good as you might think. It was good, but it was mid. And when I say mid, I mean mid to the point of it being a 5 or a 6. It's not the best Marvel film. It's not the best Marvel film ever made. It's not even in the top 10 of the Marvel films. It's in the lower tier. But I have to admit something. It's probably one of the better films that's going to be coming out from the Marvel universe. And I hate to say that because I'm actually not really keen. Hey, good morning, Mike. What's up? Welcome to Comic Book Corner. I have to admit that I'm not too keen on the fact that the upcoming films from the Marvel universe and also DC with the new Superman film. I think superhero films as a whole are starting to lose people's interest. That's just my opinion. That may not be fact, and I'm guaranteeing there's somebody that's going to debate what I'm saying right now, and that's totally understandable because opinions vary. I'm a huge proponent of Marvel comic films, DC films. Any comic book company were to try to bring any of their characters to life, I'd be more than willing to go check out their movies. But it's getting pretty predictable and not necessarily predictable more than it is. It's starting to be, people are not as enthusiastic as they were when these characters were starting to be brought to life. And I believe more or less it has to do with the type of heroes that they decide that they want to feature. Like I said, I just saw the new Thunderbolt film. And not to give any spoilers, this is a spoiler alert. That new group that they put together for the Thunderbolts, they basically have become the new Avengers. If you haven't seen the film, I just gave something away that you probably didn't know about, and I apologize. So, like I said, there was a spoiler alert, and I'm not exactly sure that this particular group would be up to the challenge if they were to have a world-ending event in any of these films. Uh, the comparison between the original Avengers in the Marvel MCU versus the Thunderbolts is like night and day. Uh, the characters that were in the Avengers, uh, the original Avengers in the MCU being Thor, Iron Man, eventually Black Panther, he was he's almost like he was a honorary member of the Avengers in the film, as well as Ant-Man, Wasp, and Scarlet Witch. These are powerful heroes or powerful entities. as where the Thunderbolts, they have a lot of street level crime fighters or street level heroes. U.S. Agent, Bucky, the Winter Soldier, who's dope and is probably, I would say, kind of considered the quiet leader of the Thunderbolts. He's got the most fighting skill. Then you got the Red Guardian, the Russian Captain America. You got the Ghost character from Ant Man, and then you got Natasha's sister, who's really just basically a Black Widow. They're not going to save the Earth. Hell, you could send ET to fight them, and they'd probably lose. We don't know if ET from the movie ET had powers. All we knew is he liked little kids. You know, he did have a little finger, little, it's a little finger would glow, and he could do some crazy shit with his finger. He probably beat the fucking new Avengers. The Thunderbolts probably couldn't even beat ET. So how they became the new Avengers, I will never understand that. Uh, but in this film, like I said, alert. In this film, in the Thunderbolts, they introduced a character that a lot of people that are not into the comics or haven't really read Marvel would probably not know, and that character is Sentry. And for those who don't know who Sentry is a Superman like character. And when we say Superman like, he is not on the same tier as Superman. If you really wanted to, compare the two, I would say Century is on the same plane as maybe uh, Homelander uh, from the TV series or the Prime Video series. Um, I know the name of it. I can't think of it right now, but you know who Homelander is. If you know anything about the comics, you know who Homelander is. And he's a superhero, a Superman like character as well, but he's obviously not as powerful. They've compared Superman to Sentry. They've compared Superman to Hyperion, another superhero like Superman like character in Marvel, as well as Homelander, and also Omni Man from the uh, animated series that's on Amazon Prime as well, uh, called in what the heck is that show called? It's Invulnerable or something like that. He can't be killed, so to speak. Um, what I've noticed about these films, it seems like the animated movies, even if they're Marvel, even if they're Marvel or even if they're DC, the animated films are killing the live action films. They are. They have way more substance. They have better stories. Obviously, you can do more with an animated film in regards to superhero stuff because obviously, live action it's kind of hard to do the stunts and to do all the super things without obviously blue screening, green screening, dropping stuff in, things of that nature. So I think what's happening with uh, superhero films is starting to wane on people a little bit. It's starting to wane on people to the point where they feel like it's a little monotonous. And I've been hearing this from people. This is not just my personal opinion. I actually, when I saw the Thunderbolts, I actually wanted to see Sinners in the theater. And I decided to see that because I was with somebody who's not really into the um, just watching movies with not really a bad message, but like a darkness to it, and like um, they really didn't want to see that spiritually. They didn't want to see Sinners, so we decided to go see Thunderbolts, which I could have waited on and watched it. When it finally hit, streaming platforms and things of that nature. But I saw it in the theater, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to give it. I'd have to give it a 5. 6 at the most. I'd say 5.5 out of 10. And I would love to have given it a higher score. I really would have. Um, because I was actually waiting on this. I was actually waiting for Thunderbolts. I was actually waiting on a Marvel vehicle that we can all get behind. And ask yourself this: what's the last Marvel film? What's the last superhero film, for that matter, have you watched that you thought was good? I just happened to be on the Street Geek podcast by Big Ben. The host is Big Ben, and he's down in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was on TikTok, and we got to talking about Craven the Hunter. At least I brought it up. I actually thought Craven the Hunter, though visually, Craven the Hunter wasn't that great visually. It could have been. They didn't put a whole lot of money into that film, but Craven the Hunter was a good film. It had a good story. They cast good people. Russell Crowe playing Craven's father, and he had some young kid that played his brother, who ended up being a chameleon. And I actually liked that movie. I guess it depends on the film. It depends on the story. I will admit the antagonist or the villain in that film was the Rhino from Spider-Man fame, the guy who's like half man, half rhino. And the animation, I wouldn't say animation, but the special effects to bring Rhino to life wasn't up to par. I was surprised how it didn't look that great. And I was shocked at that. But that's all films and budgets. And a lot of times the studios, they sit there and they feel like, we're going to put this much money into a movie. And hopefully the actors can bypass that it doesn't have the most tremendous budget and act their way into people's hearts and minds. And a lot of times, sometimes that does happen. And I thought that happened to me. But when I brought that up on the other podcast, people was like, "Oh man, you tripping? That movie wasn't that great." So it's all in the eye of the beholder in regards to opinions on certain things. That's the reason why a lot of people may, from what I understand, Thunderbolts got a lot of rave reviews from people who really enjoy superhero films like that. And I can't be the same person. I can't give them the same type of review that other people have been given, because I don't believe that film was as good as it could have been. And that's just my opinion. But all is not lost. There is some reviews of upcoming films uh, that is going to be coming out, and I have some news. So check this out in regards to the new Black Panther movie that is coming out. If I can find it. Hold on a second here. And here we go.
Big news for Black Panther 3. Reports are swirling that Denzel Washington might be joining the cast. While Marvel hasn't confirmed much, fans are already hyped for what's next in Wakanda. Would you want to see Denzel in the MCU? Let me know in the comments. Big news for Black Panther 3.
You heard
Reports
that.
are swirling that Denzel Washington might be joining the cast. While Marvel hasn't confirmed much, fans are already hyped for what's next in Wakanda. Would you want to see Denzel in the MCU? Let me know in the comments.
How about that? A lot of people didn't know that. And if you didn't know, you just heard it here on Comic Book Corner that Denzel Washington will be joining the cast for Black Panther. I believe there's been three Black Panthers so far. Obviously, Siri, Black Panther's sister, has taken on the mantle of Black Panther. So this would be Black Panther 4. This will be Black Panther 4. Hold on. Oh. This will be Black Panther. Oh. That music wanted to play bad. That's it said, I am going to play whether you like it or not. But as the sound just said, Denzel Washington is going to be doing some type of role in Black Panther 4. And I don't know what that role could be. What do you think in the comments? Once you see the show, if you jump on the live, there's a few people, somebody just popped on the live right now. What's up? Welcome to Comic Book Corner. Denzel Washington's role in the new Black Panther film. In the chat, let me know what you think his role will be. Uh, I have no idea. I can't even put my finger on it. Looking at all of the Black Panther comics that I've read and all the characters that I've seen over the years that have been on uh, are in Black Panther comics, I can't think of a role at all that Denzel Washington could play. Is he going to be a villain? Is he going to be an ally? What do you think? If they're going to have him in the film, what do you think his role could be? Also, do me a favor and like the content, subscribe to Corner Store Television, and also hit the notification bell and button so you'll be alerted to any and all Corner Store Television content. Whenever I'm on live, it'll let you know whatever show or whatever content that I'm putting on that day. It'll let you know, and you can come right on to the live and chop it up with me and ask questions about the stuff we're talking about, or ask me any questions. I'm not. I love comics. I love the films and the fantasy and anime. There's the anime expos going to be coming here to LA soon. I actually worked the anime expo some years ago for a booth that had secret boxes. Those boxes you could buy for like 500 that have all these different, you know, memorabilia and stuff like that in them. So it's real interesting, real interesting. So I actually, walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm not just, creating content that I don't enjoy just to have different people's perspectives or different people coming into my YouTube channel. I would hope that everybody that watches any of my content gets something from it. And I really appreciate anybody who even joins the lives and also looks at any of the comic book corner content as well as any corner store television content. Here's some stuff.
You get 75.
Here's some stuff about some of the characters that we all know and love from the comic books. This is going to give you some ideas about certain characters. So just listen and learn as I play different sound in regards to different comic book characters. Here we go.
The Thunderbolts you know from the movies? Not even close to the real story. The true origin of the team starts with one of the greatest deceptions in Marvel history. The Thunderbolts formed in the chaotic aftermath of the Avengers' disappearance. As the masters of evil disguised as heroes led by Baron Zemo as Citizen Feed, the group donned new names. Screaming Mimi became Songbird with destructive vocal constructs. The Beetle became Mach 1 in an advanced flight suit with micro-missiles. Goliath became Atlas with the power to grow to immense sizes. Fixer became Techno, a genius fused with adaptive tech. A Kree gravity stone gave Moonstone flight and energy blasts. Some members began to embrace their roles instead of following the mission to take over. Leaders, including Hawkeye, pushed them toward genuine heroism. Later iterations included characters like Ghost, a tech-savvy saboteur, and Taskmaster, a mercenary with photographic reflexes. Each member brought their own baggage, ex-villains, anti-heroes, and morally gray operatives. The Thunderbolts were never truly about trust, but about what happens when power, guilt, and redemption collide.
That was a hell of a story. Now, that is the true origin and also the true characters who are in the Thunderbolts. As I've stated before, the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, strays away typically from actual Marvel comic lore. They don't usually try to take from the comic books to make their movies, which I've often said if they did that, it probably would bode well because they have ready-made scripts with also storyboarding already done for them. They could shoot the scenes exactly as the comic books laid them out. I mean, storyboarding is a huge part of filmmaking and storytelling, and almost gives you the shots of what it's supposed to look like. But as I stated before, the Marvel Center as well as DC, they try to stray away from using inspiration or any of the ideas from the actual comic books. Um, I think they artistically they have all the rights in the world to be able to do that. I totally agree with that. They have all the rights in the world to do that. But I think it takes away from the characters. It gives them, the people who don't know those characters, they'll understand the characters from the MCU's perspective versus the actual comic book perspective. And that's one of the reasons why I want a lot of other superheroes to be brought into the MCU, mostly street level. I think the street level heroes bode more well uh, in movies than the powerful heroes, godlike heroes, and all that. There's so much that you have to do, special effects wise, to bring those characters to life. The Thors, and the Galactuses, and the Apocalypses, and the Thanoses. There's so much visually that the budgets of these films get so astronomical because you're bringing these super characters with all these powers to life. And if I think they stayed more on the street level characters, even if they do have powers, but not powers to where they're like godlike and they have to do all these big things. I believe if they stayed more on the street level crime fighters, that they'd have more substance in their films. They could be a little bit more, there's a little more of a human edge to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion. And let's hear some more stuff about some of the characters in Marvel. Here's a story in particular about Captain America.
He's not just a soldier, he's the heart of the Avengers. From scrawny kid to super soldier, this is the story of Captain America. Steve Rogers was a small, sickly kid from Brooklyn who just wanted to fight for what's right. Rejected over and over, he finally got his shot when he volunteered for a risky experiment and became Captain America, a symbol of hope during WL2. He didn't just fight Nazis. He took on Hydra, led his own squad behind enemy lines, and made the ultimate sacrifice to save the world by crashing a bomb-loaded plane into the Arctic. He was frozen for 70 years, but his fight wasn't over. Waking up in modern day, Cap became the leader of the Avengers. He stood up to S.H.I.E.L.D., took down Hydra again, and even fought his own friends to protect Bucky. Oh, and when the time came, he stood alone against Thanos and an entire army and didn't back down. Captain America isn't just a hero because he's strong. He's a hero because he never gives up and always...
That's true. Captain America is a hero because he never gave up. Now, ask yourself why people like Cap and Superman, and they're wearing the old tried and true red, white, and blue. I don't mean to demean any of these characters or turn this into a racial debate, but it's so funny how a blonde, blue-eyed Captain America is the symbol of the United States of America. Now in the MCU, obviously Sam, the Falcon, has become Captain America, but even in the MCU, there's a lot of controversies and rewrites of that script to not make that brother seem too heroic in regards to representing the United States. That has everything to do with a bunch of weirdos who are the powers that be in this country, as well as the leaders of the film companies, political pundits, and people of that ilk who do not want to see a black person be regarded as a savior or a hero of everyone. Because obviously, if you're a black Captain America, you're trying to save every color of the rainbow in regards to race in the United States. It's not about him just, they make it seem like because he's Captain America that he's only going to save his people. versus saving the United States. I'm going to say a line from a Rambo film. Rambo in Rambo 2 First Blood, there's a scene at the end of that movie where Rambo tells Colonel Troutman, when Troutman asks him, what do you want? He just finished the mission. He brought the guys back from the little Vietnamese camp. And the war's been over for years, the Vietnam War. And he brings these guys back who have been POWs. And Troutman asks him, he's like, you can do anything you want now. You're pretty much free. You're pardoned. What do you want? He says, bro, all I ever wanted was the United States to love us as much as we love it. And I could say that insurmountably as fact that brothers and sisters was brought here against their will and then summarily freed in a foreign land. We had no idea where we were, and we had to just make it in a place we was brought to. And we never ever had. We've got animosity, but we've always held that shit in. And for them to be so upset to not see a certain image, superhero wise, or even hell, they don't even want Shaft, who's a black detective, to be a hero. And that's the only reason why black exploitation films were created, because we could see no heroes in the black community in the film industry. We wanted symbolism as well, because everything that you see when it comes to these Marvel Comics films, any hero film for that matter, it's all propaganda, and it's all for uplifting spirits or giving a certain type of imagery. Superman is supposed to be the embodiment of strength, power, good, and all that. And the image of that person is a white man. And any of these other heroes, ask yourself, why is Spawn a guy, Al Simmons, who's a black man, who's a killer, goes to hell and becomes a minion of Spawn? Though he has a change of heart about who he is and why he was, resurrected by the enemy, or I don't even like saying his name, but anyway, about the devil or whatever. Why does that brother have to be that type of a hero? Why Black Panther? The reason why the Black Panther movie was such a success is because black people we looking for heroes. We looking for people that can represent us, even in fantasy, that can give us like, oh, he's dope. He's a king. He's proud, and he's an African leader, and he's not only that, he's a superhero protecting his country. He's one of the richest countries in the world. Everybody wants. That's the reason why if you go look at any movies from India, Pakistan, they have all kind of super people coming from. Everybody in this world wants someone that represents them. And that's the reason why if you go look at the comic books, every walk of life and every race in Marvel, in DC, has a representative of that race that has a superpower. In Marvel Comics, you got a dude who's like the Human Torch called Sunfire. He's a Japanese guy. In DC Comics, you got the Blue Beetle. He's Hispanic. Everybody, the comic books realize that everyone in this world can turn into some type of superhero, not just white people. When you really think about it, Superman, though he's Caucasian, he's not even from Earth. He's a Kryptonian. It just so happens that the Kryptonians were Caucasian. Okay, I guess they were Caucasian. when you really think about it. But in the pantheon of superheroes and everything, you can understand why they want to project these characters in the vein of the race. If you notice, all the white heroes are super powerful, super powerful. Hell, Batman doesn't even have any powers, and he kicks people who has powers ass. That tells you how much they want that narrative to be pushed. And I totally get it. He who has the power can control the narrative. He who has the power to create the stories and control the narrative of the story can make their race or make their sexual preference, because there's a lot of women out there who want to see powerful women characters. There's not enough women superheroes, and that's one of the things in the MCU I think messed up at when they tried to do this femininity thing, which is let me say, I'm a feminist. I love women. I like the, but I think a lot of women are taking this and pushing that agenda to where people are getting like really tired of it. We're going to give you all the respect, love, money that you deserve. You know what I'm saying? But you give anybody too much, they're going to take, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So I believe the MCU trying to push the narrative that women are powerful too, and everything like that. When all of these characters, men, women, kids, or whatever, are equally as strong and as powerful and that could save the world. These agendas that keep being brought up in these films and everything, and it's more or less a backdrop to the actual story. You know, there's a lot of powerful women that are playing these roles, and it seems like they want to make the men seem like they're the backdrop. And that's just my opinion. I don't want nobody to come for me on this because I ain't got no problem with women at all. I love women heroes. I love Wonder Woman. Uh, some people that I know, I have some friends who say, Gal Gadot shouldn't be Wonder Woman. She's too fucking thin to be Wonder Woman. Nah, I think Gal Gadot was actually a pretty good casting for that. Yes, she's thin, the whole 9 yards. Remember, it's not about her build. She's not supposed to be all thick and super masculine. If you go look at any of the cartoon renditions of Wonder Woman, she's not a built female. She's a beautiful, big Amazonian woman. She's more tall than she is muscular, from what I've seen in all the renderings and drawings of her over the last 25 years, 30 years, when I was growing up reading comics and things of that nature. So casting is a real big deal when it comes to these films because it lends credibility to the character. If the character looks the part, you're already waiting on them to be the part. You know what I'm saying? If you can't see that character as that person, you can't see that actor as that person, chances are it's not going to lend any uh, credibility to the character. You're going to lose credibility. You're not going. Chances are the movie's not going to be as good as if you don't see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I didn't see Halle Berry as Storm, so I didn't get the same feel from the original X-Men movies as I wanted. I just didn't see her as Storm. That was a bad casting to me. Great actress, just a bad casting. The guy who played Cyclops, he was okay. The guy who the woman who played Jean Grey, she was okay. You know, but as time went on, when the films, they had the films, uh, Frasier, the guy from Frasier, I know his name, the actor. Anyway, he played Beast. That was a great casting. So it's always hit or miss depending on who's producing the film. At that time, it was 20th Century Fox was producing the X-Men films. Now the X-Men is in the NCU. We don't know what they're going to do with the characters. We don't know who's the new Wolverine going to be. There's rumors, but these films are very, very subjective. And you have to be very, very careful. I believe, this is just my personal opinion, if you're going to make a superhero film, all the people in the cast, maybe some big names that are going to play politicians or mothers or fathers or stuff like that. Perfect examples. I mean, the Henry Cavill. We didn't know who Henry Cavill was. I didn't when he played Superman, but Kevin Costner played his father, Jonathan Kent. So if you're going to cast a big name in the film, let him be one of the subsidiary characters that'll help push that along. But the heroes themselves should be newcomers. They should be newcomers. They should be new actors that we don't know about. That's just my opinion. I believe that is very, very important. And it will give a lot of people the idea to wanting to follow this new actor playing this role. And Chris Hemsworth was a pretty good actor, and he had been doing some things. But when he got the role as Thor, a lot of people didn't know who he was, but he was cast perfectly in that. A lot of people knew who Robert Downey Jr. was, but I hate to admit it, he was cast perfectly as Tony Stark to be Iron Man. He was. If you could continue to do things like that, it'll bode well for the MCU. It'll bode well for superhero films in general. And that's just my opinion. I think primarily, the MCU, the DCU, DC fantasy film, whatever you want to call it. They're doing a good job, but I have to admit that I think people are losing interest. That's just my opinion. I hope that's not the case. I hope they continue to make these films. I hope they continue to bring us live action, fantasy, and superhero content, but make it good. Because once people stop watching these films, it's going to be a real travesty, and it's going to be hard to bring that back. Maybe it could be, you could put them, these films on the back burner for a while until interest comes back. But hey, that's just my opinion. Hey, this has been an episode, I believe. I don't know what episode this is of Comic Book Corner. I ain't gonna even lie to you. It's in the description. And as I said before, please like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell for any future content. Hey, come back in a little while to my YouTube channel, the Corner Store Podcast, hosted by myself, will be on in a little while. This has been Comic Book Corner. This is your boy OMD, aka Dr. Savage, the Man of Bronze. And thank you for being here. Like I said, stay on YouTube. Hit that notification bell. The Corner Store Podcast will be coming up in a little while. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Have a blessed day. God bless. And keep your superhero powers popping. Let's go.